What's going on, guys? I'm here with Duane Kuiper. Duane is a sportscaster for the San Francisco Giants. He was a former second baseman in the major leagues, and he is a 7-time Emmy Award winner. But this is his first time winning the NSMA award. Again, thank you for joining us, Duane, and congratulations.
Well, it was a surprise, to be quite honest with you. And when you're at my age, you take these things and you go, well, that was great.
Yeah.
And because you look at the other list of people that have won, and I mean, Vince Scully won it 33 times. It probably should be the Vince Scully broadcasting award. So once Vinny decided to hang up the microphone, all of us other broadcasters then had a shot to win this. So I'm very grateful.
That is very true. Vin was a perennial winner every year. So Duane, the first question I want to ask you, because you were a former player, what does it feel like to cover sport that you grew up playing and loved, but also seeing guys that were, that are in the position now that you were in, 30, 40 years ago? What is that experience like up in the booth?
Well, I mean, the beauty of baseball is it does change, but the core of it doesn't. And that's why we love the game so much. We're into analytics now, not so much obviously when I played, but things, they go in circle, but there's still, 6 outs every inning. You gotta hit the ball, you gotta catch the ball, you gotta throw it. All those things remain the same. And that's why it's a joy to do these games. I always felt like having played really made my job as a broadcaster a lot easier, because the one thing I decided that I would never do is I would never, ever make it sound like the game was easy to play, because it's not. It's the big leagues. And once you forget how difficult it is to play, then as a broadcaster, you're not being really fair to those guys on the field. So, and look, being a former player helped me get the job. And the only thing that really changed for me is when my boss at the time with the Giants, his name was Corey Bush. He said, after my second year, he said, "You're going to start doing play-by-play." And I said, "No, I don't want to do that." He said, "No, you're going to do it." And so he forced me to do it, and it really changed my career as a broadcaster.
That's incredible to hear. Yeah, because I was thinking, I'm like, just having someone like a players must appreciate it a lot too. Having someone that played the game and someone who went through a similar journey in the booth who can relate to them and understand the game at that level, like at the top level. I think that's an advantage for both players and yourself as a broadcaster. That's awesome. So,
but the other thing we have to do is if a guy makes a mistake, we can't overlook that. Even though I played and I made those same mistakes, you still have to point it out. And the one thing that I don't do is I don't beat it over the guy's head. He made the mistake, explain it, say it shouldn't have happened, and then move on. If you keep beating the guy over the head of it, that's when they get upset.
Right. So like you said, you played obviously, and then you started, you didn't start play-by-play initially. What was your career path like on your way, like after playing baseball into the role as a broadcaster for the Giants? What was that path like?
Well, I was really lucky. When I was in Cleveland, I met up with a gentleman by the name of Ray Keppen. And he said, "Let's do a radio show." And I was like, "I don't want to do a radio show. I'm playing." He goes, No, let's do a radio show. It'll be 5 minutes, Monday through Friday. We'll record them all. And then more than anything, it'll get you some experience doing this. And I was young then. I mean, I was 25, 26 years old. So we did this radio show for 3 years. And I had to buy a typewriter. I had to type out what I was going to say. And I had to do that 5 times a week. So if you do that for 3 or 4 years, you're not going to be afraid of the microphone. You're going to learn how to write a little bit. And everything you say is going to be in your own words. Not somebody else is writing what you're going to say. You're writing what you're going to say.
Right.
So, I mean, I know this is a long-winded answer, but so I got a chance to do that. And then when I got to San Francisco, Joe Morgan had a pregame show where he interviewed players before the game, and he was obviously still playing. And when he got traded, they asked me if I would take over his show. So I did, and I did that for 3 years. And it kind of set the table so that when the Giants came up with this new TV station, they were looking for broadcasters. Well, I had done all these things as a player.
Right.
That gave me a shot to sit in the chair and do color at that point. And then once I got in that color chair, Joe Morgan was my partner. We shared play-by-play duties, and then Joe, after 5 years, just decided he was going to do ESPN, and then they hired my partner, Mike Krukow, and then we've been together for 30 years.
Right. A legendary duo was born then too. And even, I mean, I'm sure calling games with Joe Morgan was also great too, because he's been doing that for a long time as well. So what would you consider to be your favorite part of your job right now?
The favorite part of my job is going to the ballpark. Since I got to the big leagues in 1974, I've gone to a major league park every year for 162 games. And then if you're lucky enough to get into postseason, then you go for another month.
Right.
I always tell people the game starts at 7, it ends at 10. That's really great 3 hours. But my favorite 3 hours is when I pull into the parking lot at 4 o'clock. And what I do from 4 to 7 are my favorite 3 hours. It's in the clubhouse, it's on the field, watching batting practice, talking to the other players, talking to your own players, managers. And then you go upstairs and you get to sit with your fellow broadcasters, Dave Fleming, John Miller, and Mike, and we get to sit and have dinner together. And then we start to prepare for the game. And those are my favorite 3 hours. So look, as long as I take my nap, I'm good.
Yeah, that sounds like great, especially being like just being around like the players and the opposing players and your coworkers, being immersed in the stadium and the field. I always tell people like my friends when they talk about, because a lot of them are big football fans, and I've been to basketball games, football games. But I always say like the feeling of being inside a baseball stadium, even if you don't watch the game or love the game, is like different. It's like a different feel. The atmosphere is just incredible. But being able to go there, that essentially being your office, must be like the greatest thing ever. What do you consider in your broadcasting career? What has been the like the highlight of your broadcasting career in your personal opinion?
Well, I think anytime, and I've been really lucky, and Mike Krukow's, we've both been really lucky, because when postseason starts, we slide over and do radio. I mean, most TV broadcasters for local teams, when the postseason starts, they're done.
Right.
Their 2 radio guys take over. But in our case, because all 4 of us rotate around, we all get a chance to do radio during the whatever playoffs and World Series. So the years that we've done that and won the World Championships were years that I'll never forget. But 2 of my biggest joys, aside from postseason, was Matt Cain's perfect game. And I, look, I was thinking, how many guys actually played in a perfect game? And I did, in Lenny Barker's. And how many guys actually called a perfect game? So I got to do both.
Right.
So that was obviously a thrill that I'll never forget. And then, of course, all the home runs that Bonds hit to get to 756. And then when he did hit 756, it was terrific, but it was also a great relief to all of us.
Yeah. I mean, just hearing you explain it, because the Giants have had, a great last 2 decades of baseball, and being able to witness that must have been incredible. But that you mentioned being a part of a perfect game on the field and in the booth. Now, my question to you is, because I always wonder this, as a player during a perfect game out on the field, Are you thinking about like, are you nervous? Does it get to you? Like the thought of like playing in a perfect game, not wanting to mess it up. How is that experience?
Well, it does cross your mind. But I will also say that when I looked around the infield, uh, I saw concentration on every one of the guys I was on the infield with, like I'd never seen before. Uh, Toby Harrah was at third, Tom Verizor was at short, and Mike Hargrove was at first, and Ron Hassey was doing the catching. The concentration level was off the charts. If that little guy on your shoulder keeps creeping in, like if this ball is hit to you, don't screw it up. You got to get it out of there fast,
Right.
fast. Otherwise, that starts to consume you, and it may happen, and you don't want that to happen.
Right.
I was lucky enough. I think I had 4 or 5 ground balls hit to me in that game, and I guess more than anything, I never thought about missing any of those ground balls. But I do remember after throwing it to Hargrove, I was really happy that the play was over, because you can't think about it too much, because the next one may be hit right at you.
That proves that you were locked in, though, right? Because you didn't think about it until after it was done. That's what I'm thinking. It takes that incredible level of concentration, especially in baseball. You take a wrong step, or you set up yourself in the wrong way. It takes a bad hop, and all that stuff is just running through. It would be running through my mind like crazy.
Right, and it's why it's called a perfect game.
Yep.
Because you have to be perfect.
Exactly. All 9 players. So what is the best piece of advice you can give someone who's thinking about becoming a sports broadcaster, just getting into the industry? What's something that you can give them or tell them to help them on their journey?
Well, you got to keep plugging along, because I know guys that have been broadcasting in the minor leagues for 25 years. You just keep hunting for jobs. When the virus was not around and there was such a thing as the Major League Baseball winter meetings, I know a lot of young people go to these meetings looking for minor league announcing jobs, and you have to do that. And if you're lucky enough to get one of those jobs, and now you're doing other things, whether it's football or basketball, I always tell people, don't say no. If someone says to you, can you do basketball? And even if you've never done a game in your life, say yes. Yes, I can do that. Do you do football? Yeah, I can do that. If the more yeses you say, the better odds are that you're going to be successful at doing these jobs. And then you're going to have other avenues. It may not just be baseball. It could be other things. And if you're doing radio, then if you're doing play-by-play, you have to be descriptive. You have to tell people where is the ball at all times. I tell young broadcasters all the time, because they get into the press guide and they see, let's see, Evan Longoria, and they start reading everything about Evan Longoria. Where's he from? What high school? Blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. What they really want to know is, where is Evan Longoria playing at third? Is he playing in? Is he playing back? Is he over towards the line? Is he guarding the hole? So before you tell me where Longoria is from, tell me where he is on the field. And if you do that and be as descriptive as you can, actually broadcast a game like you're sitting in the stands next to a blind person and you're telling that blind person what's going on. That's how you do it.
Awesome. And just a personal question, because you're obviously a broadcaster for the Giants. Do you think that is the most beautiful park in baseball?
Well, because
you've been I'm sure you've been to so many in your playing career, broadcasting career. Do you think that is?
Let me just put it this way. I think it is the most beautiful, just because of the view we have of the water, and we can see the Oakland Hills and Berkeley, and we can see the tip of Mount Diablo. So yeah, I am biased, and I think it is the best one. But we did in 2019. We went to Baltimore to play the Orioles, and I had forgotten what a great park Camden Yards is. And it really is in my top 3 around the league. You can't see the water, but you can see that warehouse.
Yeah.
And the views that we have from our broadcast booth were sensational.
Yeah.
I like all the new ones. I really do. And look, Wrigley Field is always going to be a favorite, and so is Fenway Park. But when you start talking about new parks, I like Seattle's park. I like San Diego's. It's hard to dislike any of the new parks, but Camden Yards is my second favorite.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear. I've been lucky enough to go to Camden Yards a few times. But Duane, that is the those are all the questions I have for you today. If you want to thank anyone or leave any closing remarks before we head out, you can go ahead and do that now.
Well, what I'd like to say is, look, anytime we as broadcasters, we win these awards, we don't take these awards lightly. It probably, more than anything, shows that we've stood the test of time. And I have great partners with Mike Krupko and John Miller and Dave Fleming. I mean, we don't win any of these awards unless we have great guys to work with who put their egos away and just try to do a great broadcast. And also, look, I've had great director in Jim Lynch. My brother Jeff produces all of our games, all of our camera people. They all are a part of these awards that one guy wins, but it's usually never just one guy. It's a whole group of people. So my thanks to them, and my thanks for being recognized with Ted Leitner.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us, Duane, and congratulations on winning the award.
Thanks, and I hope you don't get stuck in the snow today.
Thank you very much.